And now on to minor chords. Let's repeat again that what makes a chord minor is the minor third. In a scale, C scale, you would have root, major third and fifth, and in this case, as we've seen for the minor scale, root, minor third and fifth. Right? In the barre chord you're most familiar with, this one here for a C, where are the tones? Root, fifth, octave, right? You repeat the C, and here it's your minor third. Here is the same note, your minor third is up there. We said, however, that in jazz we tend to use 4-note chords. We do not stop at the root, third and fifth. We generally add a 7th and or a 9th, an 11th or a 13th. In the most common case of the 7th, that particular 7th obviously is minor. That is half a step. The major 7th we were playing in major chords. In the case of C again, C, minor third, fifth, and here's the minor 7th, okay? In terms of the shape of the chords, of the minor chords, there are two fundamental shapes that will really be the foundation of much of what you are going to play in jazz. The first one has the root on the low E, and it's very similar to the barre shape you would play normally, only it's simpler. Let's take an A minor. This is the shape you would normally play, and this is the shape I suggest you play. You see, it's simpler. It's simply a barre on the 5th fret. What happens here? You're removing the 5th, which you don't really need because we said it's not a tone that defines a chord, and you're removing the octave, and you don't need that because you're already playing this here and you're playing it here. Okay? Now, if you're a keen observer, you will have noticed that by not playing the 5th, you end up playing the 4th, which would make this a minor 11 chord. Only you don't. Typically, you would only strum the top part of your strings, since you have a bass player and you don't want to muddy the sound by adding a low tone. Or if you're playing bossa nova style, you would pluck with your thumb the bottom A, and you see that note, which would make it an 11, doesn't get played. Either you play like this or you play like this, okay? And what I suggest is that you use this very simple shape when you want to play a minor 7 chord with a root on the bottom E string. And now I would like to come back briefly, again in a way of sharing a little trick, to what we said before, just in the last lesson, about plucking or strumming different sets of strings in order to give a sense of movement to your grooves. And let's make the example of Moondance, very famous song by Van Morrison, and see what you can do. The verse of Moondance is based on a groove in which you change chord every 2 beats. 2 beats of A minor and 2 beats of E major. So what I suggest you do is the following. Hear and look. You see, there's nothing wrong in playing, but if you make the top A, it's the top, the string is the E, but you're playing an A. If you make that ring, you have movement. And then embellish with some semitones. Target. Another practical trick to give a color and movement to your comping is to add a 9th as a passing tone a top ninth. Let's take a vamp that goes from A minor 9, a shape you know, to a G major 7, the shape we've seen in the previous lesson. And you would normally play which is nice. But look what you can do if you add a ninth. You agree that this is a 9? Think. Grade 1 of the scale, grade 2 of the scale, 2 plus 7, 9. Okay, so we call that a ninth. And you play if you want to strum. A simple trick, and it immediately sounds jazzy and it sounds good. The second shape for minor chords has the root on the A string and is in fact a minor 7/9 chord. You can play this shape whenever you see a minor 7 chord in the chart. Hear how nice, rich and quintessentially jazzy this D minor 7/9 sounds. Ah, bossa nova immediately, Brazil for instance. Now the chord tones are nicely laid out in a progression as we would have them on a scale. You're probably familiar with this shape. We will see that in the next lesson. That's a D7/9 you would play as in blues. And now look what happens here. This would be a major third, D major third. You lower that major third so that it becomes a minor third. And the progression is root, minor third, 7th, obviously minor 7th, and 9. 1, 3, 7, 9. D minor 7/9. You're used to this chord in blues. You lower the third and it becomes a D minor 7/9. Now, what if you wanted to play a minor 7/9 chord with a shape that has its root on the E string? You have two solutions here. One is this, and the other one is to take the ninth up on the top E string. Sorry. So one solution is this, and the other solution is this. By taking the ninth, in one solution you play it here, and the other solution you play it here. There's a shape for the 13th. That's a minor 7 chord with an added 6th. And again, in the case of D, this is what happens. That's the 6th. Finally, you may already be familiar with sus, or suspended chords. These are minor 7 chords with an added 4th or 11th. There are two very simple shapes here. One is has the root on the A string, and it goes like that. Very simple. There's a half barre, and you have everything you need there. And the second one, the same chord with the root on the E string, is here. It rings differently because of the inversions, because of the way the notes are arranged, but it's the same chord. This sense of suspension. Minor 7 with an added 4th, or minor 7/11th, we call it suspended 4th.